Hello, my name is Chris and today is a beautiful day. It's a really good day to talk about growth and change and the way that growth changes us, often for the better. About the way that sometimes going through periods of growth and change can be uncomfortable and unpleasant, even downright horrible. But we go through these things and we gain strength. And we gain insight and we gain a fresh perspective. We gain a sense that, you know what, I got through that and came out the other side. And as a result, I am capable of getting through anything. Before we get into today's video, just a quick reminder, tomorrow is Saturday, July 26th. That means that at 6:30 p.m. UK time, we'll be doing the monthly live stream hangout. First of all, a quick apology, I made a mistake. I always say that the live streams are on the last Saturday of the month. I didn't realise that there's an extra week in July, so the last Saturday is actually the 31st, I think. But since I've committed to doing it on the 26th, we'll make an exception to the rule, do it on the 26th this month. If you've never been to one of the live stream hangouts before, please do come along and spend some time with us. They are so much fun. It's a chance to chat directly, not just with me, but with other people who are part of our Quit Smoking community, to ask any questions. Just share with me your success and how things are going for you. I spend a lot of time here telling you how things are going for me, so I'd love to hear from you. At 6:30 p.m. tomorrow, the link is up in the card above and down in the description below. It will also be posted in our Facebook group, Finding Freedom, facebook.com/groups/findingfreedom1. With that very long intro out of the way, let's take a deep breath. Get some of that lovely fresh air going, and let's get into today's video. So, I actually had an entirely different video planned for this week, but then something happened to me a couple of days ago, and I was like, no, I need to go out into the woods and talk about this. So, what happened was, I went back to a 12-step meeting for the first time in a couple of years. Now, the reasons why I stopped going to 12-step meetings are long and complex and really deserve another video all of its own. I will say this, that what was happening was I was finding that although there were still many parts of the 12-step program that were useful for me, actually attendance at meetings was starting to do me more harm than good, because what I was struggling with was my mental health, and I needed to take a step back and deal with that. Sometimes I go to 12-step meetings and say, you know, like, I'm dealing with my depression right now. You know, I've shared in the past, I have two types of mental health problems. One is it feels like all of the colour has been drained from the world and there's no vitality and everything is just black. The other is that a bomb will go off in my head and I go insane. And I'd be going through either one of those things, and sometimes go to meetings and someone would say, oh, you just need to go and see a sponsor and do some 12-step work. And I'd be thinking, no, I need to go and see a mental health professional and get some proper help. It was things like that, you know, and I thought, I'm just going to step away and tackle my mental health, and, you know, but never really abandon my commitment to my own personal journey, into my sobriety, into my growth. And it worked out well. It was exactly what I needed at the time. And then I get to this week, and you know, I shared in last week's video about how I'm kind of easing back into things. It's been a really busy 6 months, and then I took some time off, and then I was just trying to get myself back to the same level I was before my holiday, and kind of not finding it as easy as I thought I would. You know, I'm definitely making more good decisions than unhelpful ones, but just not as many as I would like. And I was kind of struggling with this a little bit earlier in the week, and sort of reflecting on it and trying to work out what the heck was going on with me. And I was finding it very difficult to sit with myself. I'm a very big fan of sitting with ourselves and letting ourselves experience what we're experiencing, rather than kind of numbing it out with alcohol or distracting ourselves with cigarettes or pornography or whatever the case may be. But I was finding it very, very tough. And I thought, wherever I go now, I'm going to have to sit with this because it's within me. But I was all alone, and I thought, I don't necessarily have to sit alone with this. I can go and sit in a room full of people. And there's a 12-step meeting, literally, like, you can fall out of my front door and be in it, and I had no excuses not to go. So I was like, I'm just going to go and just sit and just be and just ground. And if I take nothing else from this meeting, it's my chance to just ground myself and to get out of my environment and allow stuff to process. But I actually got much more out of it than that. Because it had been so long since I'd been to a meeting, I started to reflect on what life was like for me and what I was like as a person when I very first decided to get sober and take responsibility for my health, my life and my actions. And it was very different. I have a picture somewhere at home of me when I was first, really like days into sobriety, and if I can find it when I get home, you should be seeing it round about now. If you can't see the picture, it means I couldn't find it, but I will tell you that it wasn't pretty. In every way imaginable, I was broken. I was physically, financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally ruined. I was a wreck. I looked like a disaster. I felt like a disaster. My self-esteem was non-existent. My fear and self-loathing were through the roof, and I mean, the fear was unprecedented. I actually talked in the 12-step meeting about my very first early meetings, and somebody came and gave me a cup of tea, and it wasn't very nice. And I was like, I need to put a drop of sugar in this. This was back when I still had sugar in my hot drinks, which I don't do now, but that's by the by. And I needed to put the sugar in my tea, and there was a coffee table in the middle of the room, and all the drinks and the sugar and the milk and all that stuff was on this coffee table, and I was kind of like sat here, and I had this sense of dread. I can't reach over and get that sugar because somebody might look at me. And I was so full of shame and doubt and self-loathing that I just couldn't handle the pressure that somebody might even dare to look at me. And oh, how much things have changed. Now I'm like, turn a camera on and go, hey everybody, look at me. But back then it was very, very different, and I had this sense of, if I reach for this sugar, somebody might tell me off, and maybe I'm not supposed to have the sugar, and then maybe, I'll have to pay for it, and I don't have any money, and oh my goodness. Just an absolute wreck of a human being. I had nothing. I had no job. I was living at the time in the tiny little box room at my parents' house, because I'd split up with my wife and I had nowhere else to go, and that was causing problems, and I was just physically destroyed, in every way imaginable. Not just through the drink, but because of the things that I didn't drink. I was, I left myself a wreck. But I did, something clicked, and I did start trying to take responsibility and get started on this journey of growth and improvement and becoming the person that I was meant to be, rather than the person that I became as a result of a few bad decisions to get heavily addicted on alcohol and cigarettes. So I started on this journey, and I put the drink down. And just putting the drink down was not a magic cure for me. It wasn't that, you know, one day I decided not to drink and I went to an AA meeting, and then the next day, you know, everything was magical. What it did was give me just, you know, in those early days, it gave me just enough clarity of mind to start taking responsibility and to start taking necessary actions. And a lot of that was simply trying to get my health back on track. I remember, you know, the very early days, I seemed to be having doctors and hospital appointments every single day just to try and get myself well, to get my head well. I had this problem with sciatica, which I haven't had for years. You know, I was in my early 20s, mid-20s maybe. You know, people that age don't have the kind of sciatica problems that I had, and I had to go and sort that out. You know, and I started to improve, but it wasn't easy. I wasn't skipping merrily into this, you know, and everything was a breeze and a joy. It really wasn't. You know, there's still, in the early days, even just coming off the alcohol was tough for me. There were days when I couldn't do much of anything, and if you go to AA, they give you this big blue book, which, you know, they imaginatively call the big book, and you know, literally the only thing I could do to keep myself from a drink some days was to go and sit in the bath and hold this book. You know, my intention was to read it, but I was kind of so not with it that I would just kind of look at it and sit there going, don't drink, don't drink. It kind of worked, and the more I did this, the less that became a problem for me. The more I got used to not drinking, the more I got used to a new way of life, the more my health started to improve. My mental health improved for a bit, and then kind of went off the radar again later, which proved to me that there was more going on than just alcohol. You know, it's about the whole everything. But again, I had enough, because I wasn't drinking, I later had enough clarity of mind, as insane as I might have been at times, to recognize, yeah, this isn't right, there's something very, very wrong here and I need some help. And, you know, I improved my physical well-being. I was no longer riddled with all that fear and self-loathing. You know, it took me a while until I quit smoking to really tackle my self-esteem. That improved. I went from having no job and living in this tiny little box room to starting my own freelance business and making enough money to not only move out of that box room but pay off all of my debt. I made a video a couple of years ago about how depression and addiction left me completely in debt, because not only did I spend far more than I had, I also couldn't even tackle the bills. I paid off all that debt. I've been meaning to update you on that for ages, so that's good news. You know, life started to get better and better and better. And then eventually, when I was ready, I was able to kick things up to the next level. I was able to quit smoking. And I'm trying to figure out how to best word this. I wouldn't have been able to quit smoking if I was still drinking. I wouldn't have been in the position to do all the things that I did if I was still a complete alcoholic wreck. But for me, quitting smoking was even more powerful than quitting drinking, because it really did serve as the catalyst for everything else. You know, if I hadn't quit smoking, I wouldn't be here doing this. You know, I would have never have met you. You wouldn't have ever gotten whatever it is that you get out of me doing these videos. I probably wouldn't have, you know, improved my health to the way that I improved it. But that wasn't easy either. It was a period of growth and a period of change. You know, I've talked before about how difficult I found it to quit smoking, and that's kind of why I ended up here. Got through that, and then I had the worst bout of depression that I've ever had in my entire life, like literally months afterwards. sat in my flat with the curtains drawn in the middle of summer. No, it wasn't the middle of summer at all, actually. That's a complete lie. It was like January, February, March time. You know, curtains drawn, couldn't get off the couch, and it was just awful. And this, for me, was an even bigger period of growth and change than I'd ever been through before. You know, I share it all the time, and I sometimes wonder if people have any idea what I'm trying to say. But it's like, if my life is at this level, and then I go through something, whether it's alcohol recovery or quitting smoking or depression, or when my head just goes, I can start at this level. I tend to go down somewhere. Like, I just drop levels. I don't function very well. I don't cope very well. I tend to feel miserable and uncomfortable and unpleasant and awful. But what keeps me holding on to that, what keeps me holding on through all of that, and what ensures that I never give up, as much as sometimes I would really, really like to, is the fact that I know that when I come down here, eventually I'm going to grow again, I'm going to recover, I'm going to heal. In fact, that's where it starts. It starts with healing and recovery. And I don't get back to this level. I keep growing and growing and growing. And then something else may happen to me that knocks me down a few pegs. What I've noticed is that it never knocks me down as many pegs as before, at least not these days. And then I'll grow again and again and again. And I don't just mean growth in terms of, you know, how well I'm doing financially, or where I'm living, or what my job is, although those things are definitely signs of my growth. Do you know what I mean? I've gone from being, you know, that horrible picture of me when I first got sober, and all of the awful things that I had to go through, gone through that now to where, you know, I still live in a flat, but it's a nicer flat and I like it, and, you know, have friends and relationships, and I'm able to connect with people, and I have good, healthy self-esteem, and I feel good, and I've retrained, and I have this new career, and it's entirely rewarding. All that is good stuff. Absolutely. And like I say, all these things are signs of my growth, but the real sign of my growth is within. Life and how I'm doing with life isn't about what's going on around me. It's about what's going on within me. I can have the most amazing life ever and still feel pretty bad inside. I can have everything falling apart around me and feel pretty good. And go, do you know what? I got this. I've got this, and I know that I've got this because of everything else that I've been through. And sitting in that 12-step meeting as I was the other day, all of this kind of stuff came to me. You know, before that I was sat at home, struggling to sit with myself, wondering, you know, what the heck was going on? Why am I not where I would like to be? What the heck is going on? This is a problem that needs to be solved. And then I'm sat there reflecting on, man, Chris, you were a broken wreck. And now you're worried because you haven't been eating as healthy as you would like, and because you may not have done as much running as you would like. And I went, oh yeah, gives me an entirely fresh perspective. This is nothing. I'll get through this. And when I reflect on how long my previous periods of growth took me, it's like, yeah, just be patient, ride this out. And I do feel like this is a period of growth. It may not be the most difficult period of growth that I've ever been through, but it is growth nonetheless, and it is change. And change can be difficult and new and scary. Not always. I don't believe that change is always scary, but it can be, and it can be difficult, and it can be tough. And I'm sat there thinking, do you know what? Getting sober was tough. Quitting smoking was really tough. That horrible, black, nasty bout of depression, that was even tougher. I feel okay to say that was the toughest thing that I've ever been through. And Chris, not only did you survive all of those things, but afterwards you thrived. After the dark always comes the light. After the night always comes the day. After the pain always comes the healing and the growth and recovery. And I hold on to that with dear life, because it gets me through so much. Not only does it show me that I can get through this because I have, but it shows me that when I get through this, things are going to be even better than before as a result of what I went through. Which means all these uncomfortable, all these unpleasant, all of these horrible feelings are actually necessary. Doesn't make them good. Doesn't mean that I sit there going, yeah, I feel like shit, because that would make no sense. It's still awful, but I hold on to hope that, you know what, yeah, this is really bad, but there are better things on the horizon. You know, and I've shared this point in so many other videos about quitting smoking isn't just about not having cigarettes. It's about the growth that takes place. For some people, they breeze through it, it's very easy. For others, it's more challenging. I'm taking a wild guess at this, but I believe that most of the people that I connect with on this channel don't find it that easy. That's why we're here. But we go through it. And later, something might happen. We have a bad day, or a bad week, or just a traumatic time. And we can think, do you know what? When I quit smoking, I had a really horrible time. I had this really bad day, and I really wanted to smoke, and I really wanted to say F it and just give up. But I didn't, and I survived, and my life is so much better now. And if I got through that, I can get through this. I'm going to leave that there for today. That just seems like a perfect way to end it. This is one of those videos where I don't make any notes. I literally kind of planned this video in my head as I was walking to come here. I hope it made sense. I hope it's been of some value to you. Even if it hasn't, thank you for sticking with me to the end. I really do appreciate it. One last reminder, it is the live stream hangout tomorrow night, 6:30 PM UK time. Links in all the usual places. And if you for support with quitting smoking, we've got Finding Freedom. I forgot what I was going to say then. There is the Finding Freedom Facebook group, facebook.com/group/findingfreedom1. This is where I normally show my book, but I didn't bring it with me. It's called Quit Smoking and Be Happy. It's available on Amazon in ebook and print form. Thank you so much for watching. Really is lovely to be back outside again. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.